Welcome to Python Programming Basics, a beginner's guide. In this chapter, we will introduce you to Python, a versatile and powerful programming language. Let's get started. Python is a popular programming language. It was created by Guido van Rossum and first released in 1991. Python is known for its simple syntax. This makes it easy to learn and use. Many people start with Python because it is beginner-friendly. Python is used in many fields. You can find it in web development, data science, artificial intelligence, and more. Big companies like Google and Facebook use Python. This makes it a valuable skill to learn. Python has a large community. This means there are many resources to help you. You can find tutorials, forums, and documentation online. Python's popularity continues to grow. This ensures that it will be a useful language for years to come. To start programming in Python, you need to install it. Python is a versatile and powerful programming language that is widely used in various fields, from web development to data science. Go to the official Python website, python.org. This site is the primary source for downloading Python and accessing its documentation. Download the latest version of Python. Make sure to choose the version that matches your operating system, whether it's Windows, macOS, or Linux. Follow the instructions to install it on your computer. The installation process includes setting up the Python environment and adding Python to your system's path. The installation process is simple and straightforward. Once completed, you can verify the installation by opening a command prompt or terminal and typing Python version. Once Python is installed, you need an integrated development environment, or IDE. An IDE provides a comprehensive environment to write, test, and debug your code efficiently. An IDE helps you write and test your code. It offers features like syntax highlighting, code completion, and debugging tools. One popular IDE is PyCharm. PyCharm is known for its powerful features and user-friendly interface, making it a favorite among Python developers. You can download it from jetbrains.com/sidecar. There are both free and paid versions available depending on your needs. Another option is Visual Studio Code, available at code.visualstudio.com. VS Code is a lightweight open-source IDE with a wide range of extensions. After installing an IDE, you need to set up your environment. This includes configuring the IDE settings to match your workflow and preferences. Open your IDE and create a new project. This project will serve as the workspace for your Python development. This project will contain all your Python files. Organizing your files properly helps in managing your code efficiently. Make sure to select the correct Python interpreter. This ensures that your IDE uses the right version of Python to run your code. This ensures that your code runs properly. With everything set up, you're now ready to start coding in Python and bring your ideas to life. Python's syntax is simple and easy to read. This is one reason why it is a great language for beginners. Python uses indentation to define blocks of code. This means that you must use spaces or tabs to indent your code correctly. Variables in Python do not require a specific type. You can assign any value to a variable. For example, you can write, or Python will automatically understand the type of the variable. Loops and conditionals are important in Python. A loop allows you to repeat a block of code. A conditional lets you execute code based on a condition. These concepts are fundamental in programming. We will explore them in more detail in the next sections. Variables are used to store data in Python. You can think of a variable as a container. This container holds a value that you can use later. To create a variable, you simply assign a value to it. For example, assigns the value 10 to the variable. You can change the value of a variable at any time. For example, if you write the value of changes to 5. Variables can hold different types of data. These include numbers, strings, and lists. For example, assigns a string to the variable. Variables are case-sensitive. This means that and are two different variables. It is important to use meaningful names for your variables. This makes your code easier to read and understand. For example, use instead of. Section 5. Loops in Python. Loops allow you to repeat a block of code multiple times. Python has two main types of loops. Loops and loops. A loop iterates over a sequence. This sequence can be a list, tuple, or string. For example, repeats the code block 5 times. A loop repeats as long as a condition is true. For example, repeats the code block as long as it is less than 10. Loops are useful for tasks that require repetition. This includes tasks like processing items in a list. It is important to use loops correctly. An infinite loop occurs when the condition is always true. This can cause your program to freeze. To avoid this, make sure your loop has an exit condition. This ensures that the loop will eventually stop. Section 6. Using conditionals. Conditionals allow you to execute code based on a condition. The most common conditional is the statement. For example, checks if is greater than 5. If the condition is true, the code block is executed. If it is false, the code block is skipped. You can also use and statements. The statement runs if the condition is false. The statement allows you to check multiple conditions, for example, and cover all possible cases for X. Conditionals are powerful tools in programming. They allow you to make decisions in your code. This makes your programs more flexible and dynamic. It is important to use conditionals correctly. This ensures that your code behaves as expected. Section 7. Writing a simple Python program. Let's write a simple Python program. This will be a great way to get started with coding in Python, especially if you're new to programming. This program will ask the user for their name. It's a basic example, but it covers some fundamental concepts. It will then greet the user with a personalized message. This is a simple yet effective way to understand how input and output work in Python. Start by opening your IDE and creating a new Python file. Name the file something like greeting.py to keep things organized. This will help you easily identify the file later. First, we need to get the user's name. This is done using the input function. Use the input function to do this. The input function allows us to capture user input from the keyboard. Write input, what is your name? And store the result in a variable. This line asks the user for their name and stores it in the variable called name. This line asks the user for their name and stores it in the variable name. Variables are used to store data that can be used later in the program. Next, we need to print a greeting. This is done using the print function. Write print hello plus name plus to display the greeting. This line will concatenate the string hello with the user's name and an exclamation mark. Save your file and run the program. Running the program will execute the code you have written. You should see a prompt asking for your name. This is the input function at work. After entering your name, the program will greet you with a personalized message. This demonstrates how the input and print functions work together. This simple program demonstrates how to use input and output in Python. It's a great starting point for beginners. It also shows how to use variables and strings. Understanding these basic concepts is crucial for more advanced programming tasks. Congratulations, you've just written your first Python program. Keep practicing and exploring more features of Python. Section 8, breaking down the example program. Let's break down the program. The first line is, the function displays the prompt, what is your name? It then waits for the user to enter a response. The response is stored in the variable. The second line is, the function displays the message hello, followed by the user's name and an exclamation mark. The operator is used to concatenate or join strings. This allows us to create a personalized greeting. This program is simple, but it demonstrates important concepts. It shows how to get user input and display output. It also shows how to use variables and strings. These are fundamental skills in Python programming. Section 9, common errors and debugging tips. When writing Python code, you may encounter errors. These errors can be frustrating and time-consuming, but understanding them is the first step to resolving them. These errors can be syntax errors, runtime errors, or logical errors. Each type of error has its own characteristics and ways to troubleshoot. Syntax errors occur when you write code that Python cannot understand. These are usually the easiest to fix because Python will tell you exactly where the problem is. For example, missing a colon in a loop or conditional statement will cause a syntax error. Always double-check your punctuation and structure. Runtime errors occur while the program is running. These errors happen after the code has successfully compiled and started execution. For example, trying to divide by 0 will cause a runtime error. These errors can be trickier to debug because they depend on the program's state at runtime. Logical errors occur when your code runs without errors but produces incorrect results. These errors are often due to flaws in the program's logic. These are often the hardest to find and fix because the code appears to work, but it doesn't do what you intended. Careful review and testing are essential. To debug your code, read the error messages carefully. They often provide valuable information about what went wrong and where the error occurred. Pay attention to the line numbers and the type of error mentioned. This can significantly narrow down your search for the problem. Use print statements to check the values of variables at different points in your code. This can help you understand the flow of your program and identify where things go wrong. By examining the output, you can trace the logic and see if the variables hold the expected values. This method is particularly useful for catching logical errors. Finally, take your time and be patient. Debugging is a skill that takes practice and persistence. Sometimes, stepping away for a short break can provide new insights. Debugging is a skill that takes practice. The more you debug, the better you'll become at identifying and fixing errors quickly and efficiently. Section 10. Resources for further learning. There are many resources available to help you learn Python. The official Python website, python.org, has extensive documentation. This includes tutorials, guides, and references. It is a great place to start. Online courses are another option. Websites like Coursera, Udemy, and edX offer Python courses. These courses often include video lectures and exercises. They can help you learn at your own pace. Books are also valuable resources. Python Crash Course by Eric Mathis is a popular choice for beginners. It provides a hands-on approach to learning Python. Finally, join online communities. Websites like Stack Overflow and Reddit have active Python communities. You can ask questions, share code, and learn from others.